Yes, good morning, Professor Tag Tekken and classmates. This is Chet Buist checking in for week 4 for this term's ASL course. I do thank you, Professor Tag Tekken, first of all, for your time, help, and mentorship and patience with me in the extension. Um, and I apologize for my lackluster performances once more with my schedule. However, moving forward, without making excuses, I wanted to, for this moment, show some of the progress I have made. It's not as much as I had hoped, but of course more than where I was yesterday. Um, and uh, just letting you know my game plan, so that if I pass this course this month, uh, then we'll move forward. And if I don't and have to retake it, then again, with your permission, if I can just pick up from where I left off finally, so I can get CRUD features cleaned up even more, API features working properly, login features working properly, and of course cleaning up the design and the aesthetic for maximum performance. Um, where I'm at presently uh, is I went back initially to a lot of my old code and videos from server-side languages. You can see I got like my delete.php, delete.fruit.php, and a lot of files that I used in there because we used CRUD and created our own API and did it all in PHP, and it worked out quite well. However, of course, the difference back then was Professor O'Loughlin pretty much kind of showed us the way with it versus here in ASL where we needed to research how to make it work, which is fine, because we need to do that moving forward as developers. So originally it made me think, well, maybe I should have done this in PHP, but at the same time, building upon my project from DPW that was done in Flask with that permission granted, I mean not Flask, Python. I chose Flask, and that's why I started, and that's where I'm going to finish, whether it's this term or next term. So that said, I'm going to show you some of the progress I've made in the last 12 to maybe 18 hours. So we got the apps and the route, or the route set up. We have the form, the regular for the test, for pulling the test, and then we have rendering the templates for the form HTML that you showed me, Professor Tag Tekken, earlier, for the basic functionality. And then here, after looking at it very hard and trying to put the puzzle together, I took basically what you had down here with the list, how that was working in terms of pulling from the database, and then you had your select statement here, all from tests, and then the data, and then, okay, so I came back up here and decided, we'll run the MySQL.connector connection, keep it the same as we said, have our cursor, and then have a variable f name where we would request dot form, which was something I found online. I think in Stack Overflow was an example I saw where they were using request.form. And then putting in swim, since that's the form that we were using earlier. And then in the execute portion, we have an insert statement where we have insert into test f name here in parentheses and the values, and we have a concatenated string of f name. Okay, and we have the quotes, well, I guess properly done because it worked out when I tested it. Then we close the cursor, and then we have the cn.close, and then we have, returning the request.form swim. So let's look at that functionality first. We'll run it. Okay, let me. Okay, so that's running. We'll open up the IP, and we have here, let's go to form, and I've already got values in here from before from lots of different times testing it, but I'm going to put a name in here and call it Carl. Alright, so we'll submit. Now we see it's working because it gets taken to the process page in the browser. And if we test here that it's being listed in the database, okay, we have our values here, our ID numbers, we have the first names that I've typed in, and the 3 null values since I don't have any form information pulling on that yet. But of course, here's our last entry. We did entry number 17, Carl. Okay, so that's working. And of course, we'll see here in the database, we'll refresh it, and there's Carl. All right, so got that working, thank God. Now, using as what I would assume is the same methodology, trying to compare and contrast to some of the examples we saw in PHP with server-side languages to what I've got going on here in Flask. It's a little different, but you know, at the same, maybe a little similar. So I have a route here set for the update.html, and of course the update.html file I have here, I have a form, an action, update.py. I don't know if that's correct or not. I'm just kind of playing around with something there, but in terms of not knowing if I needed a separate update.py file or if I can just pull from this. But here's the action, and of course, I guess that's just a side note that I had there for print. We'll take this out. One moment. Okay, I got quotes in there. Probably don't need the quotes. So if I can come in here, we'll take the quotes out. We'll just run it as a regular input statement. Tab it in. Okay, so we got the text, the value we have is name, then we have a input type where we hide the value of ID. And then we have a button for update, which with the on click would execute any JavaScript associated with it. And then we have a delete button, which with the on click would delete any JavaScript associated with it. So we'll save that. And then we'll go back to test.py, which I got to go back to the folder to pull. So here. And so I'm trying to pull update, this update form. I guess post being the proper method. Maybe it should be get. Let me see. Post goes from. Okay, it might need to be get, but so we have our variable update here, or function, if you may. Excuse me. When we come down, we have the connection to the database, we have the cursor, we still have the fname variable in there connected to name, which is what I got from the value of the HTML form update.html. I don't know if that should be name. I don't know if it should be back to swim from the form that we have for the input. I've tried both and keep getting errors, and so but here's the update statement I'm trying to incorporate with the update table where we test update table test where we set fname equal to a concatenated string of fname, and then where the ID is a concatenated string of ID. Down here with delete, I probably should change that to something else other than delete, since I don't have a template for delete. But trying to formulate that, and then I got this cursor connecting to the database, and we've got the fname. Again, I don't know if that should be name or if that should be swim. And then we have the cursor execute delete from test where ID is equal to ID. So we have our delete statement, and we close the commit, we close the cursor, and then we close the cn.close. And of course, we keep the return statement here, request.form, with the swim portion. So let me save this and show you what I got. Let's go back to, so we know forms working, so we put that all in there, etc. But what I'm trying to get to is update. and I get method not allowed, and I'm not sure why. So I'm trying to get it to an HTML form that will render the update and delete button that I had in that form, so information can be updated and deleted, if that makes any sense. I know I'm still not quite connected the way I should be, but that's what I will reach out to you, Professor Tech in here on Slack shortly to see if you or Professor Carroll or Professor Kavanaugh might be available. And then, you know, with all due respect and communication, if availability is there, to see what I can possibly do. Again, I'm going to put my best foot forward, and I thank you for the extension. Again, if I'm unsuccessful, I'm going to continue to put my best foot forward, continue to keep working on this, and try to get most of this done during the first week of the next term, and then clean it up during the next 3 weeks to try to knock it out of the park. All right, so thank you again for your time, your help, your patience with me, and your mentorship. I really do and greatly appreciate it. Thank you again, class, for your patience with me as well if you are seeing this video. And we will talk with you all soon. All right, thank you. Bye-bye.